Hey guys, okay, I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about setting up for rendering and placing your object in an image background using a depth gauge that I've created and placed in Google Classroom for you to use. Okay, so go to Google Classroom and download the depth gauge part file, and you want to insert that into your model, and I have it here. So there it is right there. I'm just going to click over here to place it. And I'm actually going to mate the bottom surface of this to the bottom of my model, like this. I'll check mark that. And then generally I'm going to move it over to the center of the model, just as a reference. So it's like centered this way, and pretty much on the side like this. So it's kind of right in the middle of both directions, and that's fine. And then what you can do is right-click on the depth gauge and fix it like this, so that it's fixed, so that it can't move around. Okay. Alright, I'm going to go Control 7 for isometric. Next thing is I want to bring in an image background, and I've already chosen the image offline that has good reflection on the surface for like a countertop. It's a general countertop image, and I have render tools up right here. I'm going to go to Edit Scene, and then right here in background, typically it's on none or color, but choose image. I'm going to browse to an image for the background, which is this one. And in my files, it is here. I'm just going to choose this one right here. Okay, so there's my image. So now I'm going to use the Control key plus a scroll click to move this around, rotate it like this. You can zoom in and out to enlarge it or make it smaller. And the idea is that it should fit on the counter, basically, kind of like this. And so as I use the Control key, scroll click, like right there where it fits the counter more or less, for like a 25-inch counter, that's the size it should be. Okay, I'm going to check mark that. Also make sure that you have perspective turned on, because that changes how this looks realistically. Perspective as opposed to isometric. It's right there. Another thing you can look for is the reflection is on. And if you go to, let's see, first of all, over here I'm going to go to the 3-point faded. Right here we have perspective is on, and turn on shadows, and you can do that if you'd like. Next thing is go to Edit Scene here and make sure that floor reflections and floor shadows are turned on, so you have the reflection in the surface if you want that to be there. If you turn that off, it turns off the reflection. Turn off shadow, it turns off the shadow, and so on. Okay. So this is good for Edit Scene. Our background is in place, and that's great. In Options, please check the size of the rendering. In others, this is the output size, and I typically go like I'll typically say like a 1500 by 995, or you could turn off the aspect ratio and just like change it to 1200, and that should work. Okay. When we do that, lastly, if you can make sure it says good and best, so good for the preview, and then best for the final render quality. Okay. Okay, so we have our model set up. As I look and sees it, as if I drag it back and forth with Control scroll click, it's the same size as just moving in the image. And again, I want it to be kind of like placed like this. I can still rotate it around once it's that size to the direction I want, like this. Okay, that's the correct size, like that. Okay, when the depth gauge, you're finished with the depth gauge, just right click on that and say suppress. Suppressing causes it to go away. It's still there, it's just suppressed. And if you right click on it again and go to unsuppress, then it shows it. So you can do any part file like that. So I'll suppress that. Okay, so there's my model. Next thing is I'm going to create I want to see the preview window. So right here in preview window, I want to see like a preview of what this is going to look like when it's rendered. So that's going to come up here in just a minute as that loads. And again, I'm looking for reflection, looking for shadow, which won't be exactly the same in the rendering, but it's going to be kind of a preview. And my picture here is working in SolidWorks, and this is the image of PhotoView 360. If you have a very large picture like this, you want to kind of bring it down, as I mentioned before, to a small, relatively small size, so that the computer isn't using too much memory to kind of generate that. And again, this is kind of what it's going to look like. And when you kind of get what you want to see, and things are in place, and you can go ahead and render that. Again, I have some reflection. I don't have a lot of shadow yet. We can talk more about that later, but it's kind of a preview like this. Okay. When you're ready to kind of grab one of the renderings, go to Final Render, and it will render it for you. And as it goes through that, it's kind of showing the reflection again, and I'll just kind of remind you how to save this here for just a minute. And it's showing the rendering with the lights. And so this is kind of far away. You can zoom in a little bit. Once it renders, I can zoom in, kind of see what it's going to look like here. And this looks a little small to me. I may enlarge that a little bit on the countertop. And the image is a little bit fuzzy, so I may try to find a different image, but basically this is the idea. When you get done, go to Save Image and give it a name, and you can save it as a JPEG, and it should be good. Okay, that is about it, and have a great day. Thanks.